All the big names on the bench, on the bench, on the bench. All the big names on the bench for Ireland. Just kidding, there are no big names in Ireland. So, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildcard. This is preview for Ireland versus Japan 2021 Round 2, the Autumn Internationals. The first game they played this year is in July, where Ireland was stripped of their core players to the Lions Tour. And despite being stripped, they were still able to squeeze out a win over Japan with their B team. Without Johnny Sexton, without the core players in the lineup. Yeah, so this game, all the big names are back. Some of the big names are on the bench. So, yeah, we shall see how this game goes for Japan. It's going to be a much more difficult task for Japan to beat Ireland in Dublin, trying to revert to that loss they had in July. This is a much more difficult game than they were facing in July. So the Ireland and Japan has met 9 times so far. So the 9th time hasn't been recorded, was played in July. So Japan has only ever beaten Ireland 1 time. That was the miracle win in the Rugby World Cup. Japan was at home and beating Ireland in Pool D? Yeah, Pool D, to advance from the pool stage as the first position team. So yeah, so this was a incredible upset for Japan. Was at home, so home crowd advantage definitely played into it. And in July, Japan play Ireland. Big improvement for Japan still from their previous outings against Ireland, but they were just a little bit short in the July. That was their second test back since 2019, so there could be a lot of rust for the Japanese team going into that game as well. That could have played in the factor. So this weekend will be a really big measuring point to see how far has Japan traveled this year since they came out of the lockdowns. So Japan has only started playing international rugby again in 2021 since the 2019 Rugby World Cup. They had a game against the Sunwolves at home, and then they played against the British and Irish Lions in Europe, in Scotland. And yeah, was pretty good effort against British and Irish Lions, but the Lions were just a little bit too strong. Japan, despite the 10, had plenty of opportunity to score, to breaking the lines, and then went over to Ireland, to Lansdowne Road, just losing to Ireland's B team in that round. And then last weekend, Japan played Australia, kept in the race against Australia all the way to the last 5 minutes before Australia finally closed out the game with a try in the dying minute of the game. So Japan was only 4 points behind and was looking like they were getting a bit of momentum and could potentially put out an upset against Australia. The team Japan pitched against Australia, was a little bit weaker than the team that's coming up against Ireland. We should have a look at it in a minute when we go through the list. So yeah, this should be a stronger team, and if Japan had played their strongest possible team like they are doing this weekend, maybe Japan could have put out an upset against Australia at home. So yeah, Ireland, as mentioned, had a pretty, I would say, poor Six Nations this year due to Johnny Sexton's injury. So Johnny Sexton had a bit of injury, so they had to put in the infamous Billy Burns to fill in for Johnny Sexton, and surely enough, Ireland really fell apart in some of the earlier rounds, losing to Wales due to a red card as well. Johnny Sexton got injured in this game and then falling just short to France, and then, finally coming back against Scotland and Ireland, against England when Johnny Sexton were coming back. So Johnny Sexton is by far the most important player for Ireland, and the Irish team plays such a huge game revolving around Johnny Sexton. It's just, yeah, it's a big issue for Ireland because, as we will see in a minute, Johnny Sexton is 36, and Billy Burns is not ready. You're not going to get Billy Burns ready for the Rugby World Cup in 2 years, and Andy Farrell is basically saying he's going to stretch up Johnny Sexton live or dead to the Rugby World Cup. So he's going to be 38. And yeah, that's going to be a scary thought. So one of the things I do think is an issue with Ireland is their media. Their media tend to play a lot of the role into this thing. They put a lot of pressure on Andy Farrell to win these games, and really ignoring a lot of the good stuff Ireland did against Wales, against France, against Italy. They basically had a really dominant forward pack, really, really impressive all around. Just that 10 is missing a little bit of a spark. So it's not really like Ireland had massive issues all over the place. It's just really that one spot. And really, if they give, I think, Billy Burns or anyone a bit of a time in that 10 spot and maybe just change the strategy a little bit and not play around that 10 so much, so heavily playing around that 10 position, that 10 channel kicking game from that 10 spot, maybe Ireland could have come up with the better results in some of these games, like especially against France. But yeah, like the Irish media was just so toxic all over Andy Farrell, all over Billy Burns. And yeah, so I mean, you just do making it worse for your team in the long run. If Johnny Sexton gets injured, your World Cup is gone, right? So yeah, the weather in Dublin on Sunday or Saturday evening is going to be pretty cold, 10 degrees. Not going to be much rain in the famous Lansdowne Road home game for Ireland. And let's have a look at the lineup. So big names are back for Ireland. Andrew Porter, Ronan Keller, and Ty Furlong. Ty Furlong, many consider to be the best tight head prop in the world. The Lions tour tight head, extremely impressive. Put up quite a bit of number in the Lions tour against the Springbok front rowers. So very difficult task ahead for the Japanese front rowers. Kita Inagaki comes in loose for the Japanese, and he's got a really big task against Ty Furlong there. Atsushi Sakate comes in a hooker position. Jingwon Koo, a Korean player, a former Korean national, comes in a tight head position for Japan. Let me get my notes up 1 second. Yeah, for Japan. And yeah, so this is going to be quite a difficult task for Japan. The Irish four-pack, even in the Six Nations, even when they were losing, has been very dominant. So the four-pack definitely carried Ireland throughout the Six Nations. To be honest, to be really fair, by far the best four-pack in the Six Nations in 2021. And then we have in the lock positions, Ty Furlong comes in at number 4. James Ryan comes in at number 5, missing out on the Lions tour. Many people argue that he should have had a spot in the Lions team. They're up against Jack Connelson and James Moore, both Aussies. So Jack Connelson, he went to UQ, University of Queensland, grew up in Brisbane. His dad played for the Wallabies in the 1970s, and his dad apparently scored 4 tries against the All Blacks. So quite the lineage there. So now Jack is one of proud exports to Japan. And James Moore as well, one of the Aussie also grown up in Brisbane. He went to Brisbane State High School. Went to UQ as well, University. I think he went to where did he went to? He went to the school in Gold Coast. I think went to Bonds University. Anyway, he also went to university in Queensland. Now another proud export for Australian rugby to Japan. So 2 locks against up against the Irish locks, Ty Burns and James Ryan. Both are extremely good combination for the Irish team. Now in the loose forward position for Ireland, Seelan Doris comes in at number 6. By the way, if I pronounce any of the name wrong, it's because I'm Asian, okay? And then at number 7, Josh van der Villa, South African export looks like, for the number 7 position for Ireland. At number 8, Jack Conan comes in at the number 8 spot. So very experienced player, Jack Conan. I think he's a British Irish Lion as well. And they're up against the Japanese side. Ben Gunter at number 6. Peter Labuschagne. I actually know how to pronounce his last name. He is also a South African, and Peter is the captain. I believe he just been handed the captain last game from the Wallabies game. And also number 8, my favorite Japanese player, my spiritual animal, Himeno-san. He plays for the Highlanders. Yes, Highlanders, not for the Chiefs. The Highlanders. Himeno-san, quite an impressive player. Really, really good at the breakdown. Really big boy. Rookie of the Year for Super Rugby Aotearoa. To be Rookie of the Year playing in New Zealand is quite an achievement. So yeah, Himeno-san, watch out for this man. Hopefully he will do a good number against the Irish. Now on the back line, the Ireland has James Gibson Parker, number 9. I'm surprised that he was picked at number 9 instead of Connor Murray, who is the big name on the bench. All the big names on the bench. Connor Murray's there. So yeah, Connor Murray's there. Johnny Sex Pistols is back at number 10. So he has been the most important player in Irish rugby. So if his kicking has been spot on, kicking game has been spot on, goal kicking spot on, 10 out of 10 in all those aspects that you want from the 10. And the way Ireland plays their rugby is everything gets funneled through the 10. Kicking game, the attacking, everything goes through the 10. So maybe if they wanted to take some burden out of the number 10, if they want to try like Billy Bones the next time, I would say maybe have Connor Murray run do a bit of playmaker at number 9. Maybe have Bundy Aki do a bit of second 5A sort of play at number 12. Things like that, just to alleviate that pressure a bit for Billy Burns so that he gets into the role. Like I said, I put his age in here, 36 years of age. It's going to be 38 in the Rugby World Cup. I'm sure you guys want to make it out of the quarterfinals at some point, right? Right? So, yeah, and if anything should happen to Johnny Sexton, you are at the mercy of Billy Burns. So, opportunities like this, I'm very surprised that Andy Farrell, Owen Farrell Sr. is not giving, Billy Burns or anybody an opportunity at 10, because this would be the perfect time, because you're not under pressure to win the Six Nations, by putting your best team up. So this game will be the perfect opportunity to try out Billy Burns and grow some depth in your 10 spot. And yeah, Andy, the Irish media really need to lay off, because otherwise, God forbid, even if Sexton is healthy, I don't see how a 38-year-old is going to match up the speed with some of the other 10s coming out of the other teams, right? Anyway, James Lowe comes in at number 11 for let me go back to Japan. Yutake Nagare comes in at number 9 again for the Japanese team. At number 10, Yu Tamura, one of the most hidden, they call him the hidden talent in number 10, one of the most talented, underrated number 10s in the world. Just a lot of flair, a lot of really, really high skill, high, pace gameplays from this guy. And yeah, last game against Australia, he came off the bench, so was not sure if he was carrying a bit of injury or a bit of a niggling stuff. So he's starting this game, so this will be very, very interesting to see how he performs against Johnny's Sex Pistols. Anyway, at number 11, James Lowe. And in the Japanese side, Sio Saiya Fifita. He is I think he's a Tongan descent. So yeah, Fifita has been quite good last game against Australia. And Bundy Aki comes in at number 12, a Lions player. Gary Ringrose, another huge name for the Irish side, at number 13. Japan side, Ryoto Nakamura, who scored that intercept try from Quade Cooper, was extremely impressive in that play. So Nakamura definitely has a lot of hidden talent right there in the team. And Timothy Lafaele, also a extremely impressive outside center for Japan. And number 14 position for Ireland, Andrew Conway comes in at number 14. And number 14 for Japan, Dylan Riley debuted last week against Australia. He's also a Aussie export. Actually, he is a South African export to Australia, then exported again to Japan. He's a professional export. He was born in South Africa, raised in, was exported to Australia, so imported by the famous the Southpaw school in the Gold Coast to play rugby in Australia, and then he went to Japan. He's now a citizen in Japan. So yeah, Dylan Riley getting his second test for his new nation. And then number 15 spot, this is where probably the most electrifying man in the world of Japanese rugby comes in. That is Matsushima, Kataro Matsushima, who's also a ex-South African lineage. Hugo Keenan comes in at number 15 for Ireland. So Matsushima is the most electrifying man in Japan. He literally can step through a tiny little bit of gap you give him. He's gonna beat you through it. So he was incredible in July, and hopefully we see him do some incredible stuff this weekend against a fully stacked out Irish team. And then on the bench, there's a few changes from. I think there's a couple changes on the bench from the Japanese team from the game they play against Australia. Oh, by the way, the Japanese 4-pack and back, 4-pack is unchanged against Australia. The only change in the back line, 2 changes back line, these 2 guys, and Tamura comes in from the bench. So unchanged 4-pack, a little bit of shuffling around in the back line for the Japan since last week. On the back, on the reserves, we have Dan Sheehan making his debut for Ireland. Cian Healy comes in at number 17. It says Cian? Is it Cian? Cian Healy comes in. It's Cian, right? Not Cian. Cian Healy. What am I saying? Cian Healy comes in at number 17. Finlay Bellum comes in at number 18 for Ireland. So Healy is obviously the experienced player for Ireland right now. I think he's also like 34 or something. And then on the Japanese side, Yusuke Niwai comes in for Japan at number 16. Craig Miller, a ex-New Zealander who played for Highlanders, comes in at number 17. Number 18, Asai Valu comes in at number 18 for Japan. This is the same reserve front row they played against Australia last week. Number 18, Finlay. We already said that. Number 19, Ian Henderson comes in for Ireland. Quite an experienced player from Ireland. Number 19, Yoshitaka Tokunaga comes in at number 19. He's a new addition to the Japanese side since he didn't play last week against Australia. Peter O'Mahony, a huge name at number 20. So yeah, all the big names on the bench for Ireland, it looks like. Tavita Tatafu comes in at number 20 for Japan. Conor Murray, again, not sure why he's not starting, comes in at number 21. Naoto Saito comes in at number 21 for Japan for the reserve number 9 position. Joey Carberry comes in at number 22 for Ireland. Rikiya Matsuda comes in at number 22 for Japan. And finally, at number 23, another huge name. Huge name for Ireland. Keith Earls. All the big names are on the bench for Ireland. And Ryohei Yamanako comes in at number 23 for Japan. And Yamanako did not play last week against Australia, so he's also a new addition for the Japanese side. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of this game. I hope that we see a miracle out of Japan. I hope my spirit animal, Himeno-san, scores a try, maybe a couple turnover penalties. Yeah, that would be really good. And this game is played at the same time as the All Blacks game. It's midnight Saturday night, so yeah, a bit of a time issue for me. I'm not sure how I'm going to manage to watch both games at the same time, but maybe I'll watch this one. I'll watch the All Black one on replay since the All Blacks are playing Italy. There is not much of a upset pending on that one, but this one has a more opportunity for an upset, so maybe I'll watch this one instead of the All Black game. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. Let me know your predictions, and let me know, yeah, your predictions, whether you're an Irish fan or Japanese fan. Post your comments, like, comment, subscribe, yada. Thank you for watching, and cheers.